Hello, and welcome to Sac Podcast. We are here with another Kings game, which, if you've seen our past ones, including one that I think went two overtimes, another where a fourth quarter, you should know the one thing at the end of this, we're probably going to see a game-winning shot, buzzer beater. So that's one reason to stay tuned. Kings versus Portland tonight. A lot to talk about with last night's game and tonight. So once again, we're here with Oscar Hazel. Oscar, what did you see first half from the Kings?
Boogie just looks really tired. He's got no lift. He's missing free throws. So that wasn't good. Normal pick and roll defense is just bad as well. So lots of slow on rotations and just Boogie gives up a bad foul there, pushing down. So yeah, that was kind of the problem, and somehow Trailblazers have let Sacramento hang around. They shouldn't really be this close in this game, really. And James Anderson played way too much, and now they're not really close anymore, down 12. Should we talk about yesterday's game then, before this gets too close?
Yeah.
So, that was a pretty crazy game.
That was. I mean, and just real quickly, quick aside, because this was a thing for about 2 hours after the game, was a whole traveling thing that wasn't called. Wasn't a missed call, yes, but there was so much other stuff missed. Kings had other opportunities to win that game. That who cares?
Yeah, I mean, they had a 2-second play that it couldn't even inbound. They had a game-winning shot of Collison, or 8 seconds left as Boogie's on the floor again. So did he fall on that same hand again? Oh, he tried not to put his weight in his hand. But yeah, I mean, there was plenty of bad calls on both sides of the ball, but I mean, the not playing Ben McLemore, probably pulling Ben McLemore and Willie Cauley-Stein in that third, really early in the third quarter, to put in James Anderson and Marco Bellin and Darren Collison for defense, because they were giving up defensive, and they ended up giving up 41 that quarter, so it didn't work. And then never playing Ben McLemore again and playing Bellinelli again in overtimes. So I think you can put some, but I mean, now Ben McLemore's confidence just looks done. He's had a little bit of a brighter quarter this one, but still missing free throws. It's just a shame because he was looking good, and just Carl manages to sap out anything from that shooting guard position. I think he's just a really long leash for Marco, and he's being awful. And then the shortest leash in the world for Ben, and so one mistake and gets pulled.
It's was even last night, Carl, just ridiculous. He was asked about Ben. He said, go ahead and write your damn story. You can write one anyway, which is just a lazy response where you don't want to explain. When asked more about Marco in a minute, just it's so frustrating, but it happens every week. Oh.
Yeah, I think just Vladimir needs to trade him. Marco at this point, just to get him out of Carl's sights. And people are saying he's a streaky shooter, so he'll have a hot streak. I don't know if that's going to happen. But the Kings are having a pretty bad injury streak. But he doesn't look that good, obviously. Rudy's eye, I mean, even, if Rudy's foul just wasn't in his eye, was anywhere else on his face, he probably doesn't miss all of those free throws, and then that changes the whole dynamic of that game. But this one looks like it's, I mean, we say it's over, but the Kings can get back into games quickly. I thought yesterday's game was over, midway through the fourth, and the Kings caught up, so you never know. So now we've got the Marco, James Anderson, Costa Koufos, and Boogie lineup. So Marcus starting to pass up shots as well now, which is not good.
And Mark, let's see what Marco does here, because it's always going to be an adventure.
So it makes a tough one after giving up some. He's just weird now. He's like passing up easy shots and taking really hard to take harder ones. He's almost taken some pages out of Rudy Gay's playbook.
So let me ask you, because I mean, Boogie's still in there, but given just how much he's been playing lately, he's banged up right now in this game. I guess you can't say it's out of reach.
No.
But you only have one day off before the New Orleans game. Do you consider pulling him at all, cutting his minutes tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think you've got to play him for it. It's been interesting. Caspi's roles got smaller since he's been starting, or maybe it's since Willie Cauley-Stein's been back. So there was spells where he was playing up to 40, like almost 40 minutes, and now he really hasn't played that much the last couple of weeks or last couple of games. So that's a bit of a concern. At least Marco's having a better game today. He started like creating a bit, had a couple of good passes assists when he first got into the game, and so maybe that's helped him slightly start to hit some shots. It's a bit worrying James Anderson has made a rotation again though, but maybe that's just to have somewhat another free when you have no Rudy Gay. But I mean, he played some when Rudy Gay was in yesterday. Yeah, pretty worrying that. But I guess
logic.
But I mean, at least it seems there's less of the 2-point guards, although they kind of went to that yesterday because that's what the Hornets were running, even though that didn't really help. Collins going to shoot it. Oh, and a defensive play by Marco.
That's probably going to justify a 5-minute increase for Carl.
No, he's playing well. He's finally playing well this game. Not great defensively, but better. So what if they can get a stop, another bucket? Then they haven't lost this one, but bad closeout by Boogie. That's been happening all game as well, and that was the same as yesterday with Spencer Hawes. If you're playing Boogie at the 4, or I mean, he's playing like in this lineup. Basically, Kufos is playing the 4, but if he's playing someone that can shoot, it's going to defensively, it's going to be a struggle. And I guess that's why they switch, is to not have DeMarcus have to defend at the perimeter, and that's why Willie Cauley-Stein works better, because he can get to the perimeter much quicker, whereas Kufos, you need Boogie kind of going out there. Has Willie been back since I think he's got a cut on his face. I think he started the third quarter, so I assume he is back. Oh man, yeah, Boogie's he's dead.
I was wondering this earlier today, because obviously Boogie's month has been absolutely insane. Do you have any concern that when he starts that this team's in trouble?
No, I think they just need to find balance. So they've kind of gone away from shooting threes, and it's all been kind of in the post and then just pick and roll. When the backups are in, it's all just pick and roll. So I think you can kind of get some balance where you have more shooting, and Caspi hasn't been hitting his shots really and playing less. So I think maybe they just need to find kind of a balance with having Willie and DeMarcus as the starters, kind of how the offense works. Because it's pick and roll with Willie and then posting up DeMarcus where there's not really much else going on. But yeah, I think this game's pretty much over now. Down. That was a big swing. Basically like a 4-point swing, missing those free throws. And
so just looking over some numbers for as third quarter's coming to a close. Portland 7-22 from 3-point land. Went to the free throw line 19 times, converted 15, and 9 turnovers.
yeah, I mean it's not that good. Don't know. I mean, we kind of knew this was going to happen after 2 overtimes where they didn't really play that many people. I mean, it's crazy. McLemore's only played 7. Has he really only played 7 minutes this game? So that seems kind of stupid because he didn't play much yesterday. So you'd have thought he would be one guy where you would try and get him minutes.
Through 3 quarters, he's played 15 minutes.
Okay, so he's played another 7. So he's just played 7 in the both first quarters of games, the first quarter of each part. But yeah, Caspi's only played 20 minutes, whereas Bellinelli's played 18. So, and it's not.
Is it safe to say
he's shooting 500?
Is it safe to say that McLemore's 15 minutes is where his line's going to finish tonight?
Probably, yeah. Oh my God, Kings are under 50% from the free throw line. Yeah, and that's mainly DeMarcus, and Ben and Caspi both missing 2 as well.
Yeah, DeMarcus is 8 of 15. McLemore's 0 of 2. Carlson missed 1.
4 threes, and then he hit because he hit his first one. So obviously Phil got hot. Carl had a technical as well early on. He's been doing
Boogie and Carl picking up those technicals lately.
Yeah. Myers Leonard was really good in the second quarter defending Boogie. He had a real good spell. He's kind of in foul trouble. He's got 4 fouls. So he might not be able to play much more. But yeah, I thought he was really impressive. He's been real struggle for DeMarcus just because he can't really defend him at the perimeter. And then he's kind of just not biting on any of the first double moves by Boogie. So I've been really impressed by Myers Leonard, who sounds like he's going to be a free agent. But yeah, Collison's had a pretty bad game. He doesn't really look for his own shot, which I think he needs to more with kind of the struggles of Bellinelli. Like Bellinelli's having a good game and he's 4 of 7. So
one other thing that happened last night is who reported it? Was it Voisin or someone that Vladi had a private meeting with Cousins and Rondo? Do you make anything of that?
No, I think just because he's a player, they were just kind of like talking in there. Because I was like, Vlade almost like he's out there like teaching Boogie how to take screens and take charges. He's like standing basically all home games like under the basket shouting it. I think he's just like, I think they treat him as like another player basically. I wouldn't read too much into that.
Do you want to do and we talked about this a little bit early in the week, just via Twitter, but do you want to do a dozen Cousins update?
I don't think he's really said much that's interesting, has he, of late?
He's posted something.
That would be a first-round pick, which doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't think the Clippers can. He was saying that the Kings are now more interested in getting draft assets than a player for Rudy Gay.
He posted something last night too.
But the first-round pick stuff doesn't really make sense, partly because one of the teams linked was the Clippers, who they can't trade their first-round pick, and it would be like the 25th pick, so it's not that valuable. And that's the ball game. So we're not going to have a buzzer beater today unless Steph Curry and Ben McLemore go off.
Not Ben McLemore. We can cross.
No, he'll play now in trash time. Yeah, he's come. But yeah, I don't really get that first round pick, and well, he just doesn't have a first round. Yeah, Clippers first round pick goes to Toronto next year with a Dudley then Grievous Vasquez trade, so they wouldn't be able to trade their first round pick until after the draft. So that sounds like bad information, unless it be really in the future first. Which again, that doesn't really like. Why would you give away a first round pick to get cap space to win now, then to get rid of a win now piece in Rudy for a future asset? It just makes no sense.
I mean, and he did say, I do know one specific star in the league, Kings Brass feel they have a really good chance to sign, and some second, third choices.
So you'd think that would be maybe Harrison Barnes, someone like that, maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna check.
You'd count him as a star.
I think that second, third tier person was going to be Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, you'd imagine he'd be. But then with Boogie and like it, so he's like a bench stretch four.
Yeah.
And then you play Caspi at the 3. I don't think that's like ideal. Man, Rondo just can't get the ball in the post. Oh man. So this is our defensive unit. At least the Kings will still be in the 8th seed. So that's kind of like we both predicted 4-1. So it'll be 3-2. It looks like. So we weren't far off, and I mean, one possession away from being 4-1 last night at least. Yeah, Bellinelli is -15. Ben McLemore -5 this game. And that's been like that's the worst Ben's been for a while. He's been like +5. He's been over +5 most games.
Well, you know what? You can you can go write your story about that. God, that's such a
maybe. Yeah, it's just weird for like someone like Carl was in the media, and it's just like, why don't you explain what you're doing? What, like, either just like don't start him if you don't think he can play, or like play him. I don't know. So before this game, the last 6 games, Ben McLemore was in plus, and 4 of them were over +8. The 2 in which he was +16 and +15 were the 2 games he played more than 18 minutes. He played 34 and 28 minutes in those games. So there you go. I mean, he's not shooting well from 3. He's really been shooting poorly from 3, but I mean, no one's shooting well this spell. And that's kind of helped the Kings, I think, in some respects, as they've been having to give the ball more to Boogie in the post, or have him driving into the paint, which hasn't worked out this game, but no one can really deal with that.
And just one more free agent I was looking at. Do you think, I mean, this is going back to Rumor Central, that the free agent could be Batum?
I mean, I love Batum. Whether he would want to leave the East and Charlotte, who he's playing well with, I don't know. And they've got his bird rights, so they can offer him more. But maybe the Kings would be the one team that could offer him a max. Like, so he might not be a max player, but maybe the Kings somehow do that so they can get Rondo cheap.
Yeah.
But it's hard for the Kings to sign someone to a max deal. I think they would have to do something where, like, Rondo takes a discount, basically. Because his cap hold is around 15 million. So you either renounce his cap hold, so then that 15 million is not against the cap, or you sign him to something below that, and then that goes against the cap. So you could sign him if you sign him for 10 million long term, then you get an extra 5 million to play with in free agents. Yeah, Boogie's just not hitting any free throws. And he's just dead.
I don't think he should be playing right now.
He played 18 minutes in the first half, and so that was just like if he looked tired like the first quarter even. So then like that should be on Carl to be like, okay, well, let's see if like the backups can like keep us in this game, and then we bring out Boogie if we need to, instead of what this has been is just playing Boogie every minute.
I have a dynamite idea. Boogie and Macklemore should switch jerseys.
But then you'd see, then for some reason, Carl would just be like, okay, we're going to put it in the post every time. So it looks like Caspi's coming out. But yeah, weird again that like it's taken so long for Caspi to come in the game. Or is it Willie coming in?
Willie's.
Right. So yeah, we're chasing a 20-point game, and we had James Anderson and Quincy Acey out there.
Quincy Acey was on the court. That's a rare sight.
I think just making up for some 4 minutes. But then again, it's like Caspi didn't play huge amount last game compared to what he's been playing. But I mean, the Kings have been awful in second halves of back-to-backs as well. I mean, yeah, this game's just ugly. Should we look ahead to the next stretch of games?
Yeah.
So
we got Thursday's New Orleans.
So yeah, it's a pretty big game. Although they're 4 wins back of the Kings. So that's kind of another game where it's like you get a bit of a swing. And they might be without Anthony Davis, which kind of helps. Seth Curry's coming in, so that's how you know the game's over. Then Memphis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Brooklyn. The Kings have been pretty good against the East, so maybe that's kind of like, maybe we see another, if they can get that New Orleans victory, then Memphis, I think, is like a coin flip, and then hopefully you can get like a good spell against those East teams.
I mean, those East games will be at home.
2 are, and then Brooklyn. Then they go off to Brooklyn after Chicago. So yeah, pretty terrible game by Boogie. 4 of 21 and 9-17 from the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ben McLemore doesn't even get into trash time.
Makes sense, you know.
He just can't play 4 quarters, except against Atlanta when they won.
Trying to see if there's any updates on Anthony Davis. Diagnosed with concussion yesterday. So
yeah, normally, I mean, they have football staff, so they probably run their training staff is the same as the Saints, so they'll probably run the same protocol, like a 5-day protocol. Wow, that was a nice. So I mean, now you may as well just jack up shots, Marco.
Marco, just do your thing, buddy.
Not that one. Yeah, it's just like.
Well, at least like Boogie get some rest.
Well, how many minutes did he play this game though? Like 30.
Yeah,
so it's not even rest, and that's the problem. It's like, and what messed up his hand, fell on his face.
31 minutes.
Yeah. So okay, so a little less than normal. But I mean, I think this is just like another. This is from the coaching loss of yesterday.
I don't know. I feel like they seem like it should be common sense, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, we've seen that Carl doesn't trust common sense; he trusts his eyes, and like he's like known to be someone that uses analytics or is like a modern coach. But we're seeing a team that doesn't take many threes, even though they're pretty efficient at shooting them. I mean, he's always had a small rotation, but like you've got to use some like intelligence. So yeah, it's just Carl's just really frustrating.
So obviously in the past week we saw Blatt get fired. Where do you think he fits as a coach? You think he's going to get another NBA opportunity soon?
Almost certainly. I wouldn't be surprised if he joins Golden State Warriors as an assistant coach, because he's had a job, or that's why he was offered that job before he took the Cleveland one. So he could end up there. There's going to be some probably quite interesting jobs, like the Timberwolves job, so he can be reunited with Wiggins. What else might be up there? Wizards. He could be quite fun with that backcourt, running lots of Princeton stuff with John Wall and Beal. I think that would be fun. Who else is likely going to fire their coach?
Lakers.
Lakers, Nets. So yeah, I think there'll be some places for him. And I mean, there's not many coaches that have got to finals in their first year. So yeah, it's just odd firing. Who would have thought that? What is it now? 4 NBA coaches have been fired, and
George Karl still.
George Karl and the Kings are in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, like, it's not just and this is off Kings note, but like, so Blatt's fired, Byron Scott's still employed. Just...
The Sixers have a new GM and still have Sam Hinkie. I know, not Sam Hinkie. What's his face? I can't remember.
Brett Brown.
Yeah. I think Brett Brown's a good coach.
Well, I mean, just from the perspective of new GMs usually want their own guy.
James Anderson, ISO. That didn't go well. Who would have thought? So another 5 minutes of this.
I mean, who knows? Maybe the Kings hit a 20-point game-winning shot.
But I mean, I think this is like maybe a couple of guys get hot, like Seth now. Maybe no. I mean, the Kings. I mean, they obviously weren't going to go unbeaten all the way through. They're going to lose, but it's good that they can they made some ground. Utah lost at least yesterday as well.
Ben McLemore's in.
Yeah, he came in a couple of minutes ago.
I just missed that. Wow. I'm in shock.
But yeah, Utah, the Jazz lost the same day as the Kings lost to the Hornets, so that's not too bad. The issue is the Trailblazers have a pretty easy schedule, and I don't think they don't pass the Kings, but yeah, they got Charlotte next, then Minnesota, the Bucks, Raptors, and Houston. So I mean, it's pretty similar to the Kings, even with the Bucks and there. And there's a couple of teams that the Kings have faced of late.
Well, and Utah also just got Derek Favors back.
Yeah, but they don't have any point guard now. Even Raul Neto is hurt. So I think they brought someone in on a 10-day contract or something. So getting point Seth, the Kings' best perimeter defender. Look at that. Oh, that's a nice possession at least.
Yeah.
Ben getting into the paint and passing. He's been pretty good at passing once he gets into the paint. But that's kind of like his playmaking ceiling is kind of driving, passing. Oh man. The Kings are just incredible at letting guys get hot, huh? It's like every single, like, have you got a backcourt player that's in a shooting slump? Right, Sacramento Kings.
Well, I mean, daily fantasy basketball guys know if you see the Kings on schedule, get a backcourt guy in. Just do it. It's
another assist for Ben as the Red Sea parted for AC. But yeah, I mean, I guess you would never have thought that the Kings could go on in 2 days, have two or like one gut wrenching loss and then a blowout and still be in the 8th seed. So
yeah.
At least they built up kind of like some leeway, and then maybe this is like another kind of like they get kicked back down again to motivate them, because that definitely seemed to happen from that Philly game. Like I think losing to 76ers was definitely a kick up the outside. Although Sixers looking good, Lakers might have the first overall pick. So hopefully they'll take Ben Simmons instead of Brandon Ingram.
Well, and also positive for the Kings, you don't have Boogie punching a trainer in the face and breaking his hand.
They are going to fall quite far behind Houston now, with Houston going on this little 3-game winning streak. So they'll be, I think, 4 games behind Houston. And Houston don't have the hardest schedule, I don't believe. Oh no, they've got the Spurs coming up, and Oklahoma City, then Washington, Miami, who are bad, Phoenix, who are bad. So got to hope Washington at least plays better.
With a look at let's just look in the next 10 games. We mentioned at New Orleans, at Grizzlies versus Bucks versus Bulls, at Brooklyn, at Boston, at Cleveland, at Philly versus the Nuggets, at the Nuggets. What type of record could you see between now and February 23rd after that Nuggets game on the road?
Or should we go up to the Philly game, because that's before All-Star?
Oh yeah.
So that makes more sense. So got like another 8 games. So I think they should beat the Pelicans. I think they'll probably beat the Grizzlies just because of the way the Grizzlies play. I think the Kings match up well against that, whereas like they can't just go down low on you, and then especially with Willie Cauley-Stein rim protection, and then they can't just shoot over you. Same with the Bucks as well. They just can't shoot over you. Same as the Bulls. They just can't shoot on you. Same as the Nets. So I think they should win the next 5. They'll probably lose to the Celtics because they're just a better team, better coached, and that's a really early game as well. That's an early Sunday game. Then the Cavs, I think they'll lose, and then they'll beat the Sixers. So I'm going to say 6-2.
Especially with Anthony Davis likely out, Pelicans should be a win.
Although that probably makes them a harder matchup, because they'll have like Ryan Anderson at center, which is, if they play that for a big spell, that maybe it's harder for the Kings to defend, as hard as the Kings to defend, because if he gets hot. Whereas like the Grizzlies, Utah, neither of those teams have someone that can get really, or the Nets, they don't really have people that can get hot. So it's like it'll just be whether the Kings lose those games, which is possible.
I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe we're being too overly optimistic, but 5-3, 6-2 seems.
I mean,
very doable.
like DeMarcus, like I don't see how any of those teams can deal with if DeMarcus Cousins plays like he did yesterday, and you get like one of Caspi, Marco, Ben out, Collison out of their slump, because all those guys aren't hitting. Or like Collison still is hitting threes, he's just not taking them. So you just needed one of those guys to come out of the slump and Gay to be healthy. We don't really know how long that I will be an issue for, though.
Over under, how many threes do you think J.R. Smith attempts against the Kings?
27.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game for him.
Yeah. Although he prefers to take contested ones, so he might not take any. And this game's almost over.
And then misery is coming.
It was fun in the beginning. At least the first half, like Willie Cauley-Stein did lots of fun stuff.
You know what the problem is? The problem is I got back from class after all the fun ended.
I think there is an issue where it's like the Kings look really good to start games, and then we rarely ever see that starting unit again because McLemore never plays.
Yeah.
But that starting unit, like they start games off really well. Even that, like the Charlotte game, they were up 17 in the first quarter, and then they just like Ben McLemore never came back in.
It also too goes to just in critical situations, their basketball IQ just disappears.
And just no one's hitting shots, which isn't a surprise.
So as the final seconds come to a close, there's about 40 seconds left in the game. Kings are going to lose by plenty. Going to finish probably 34 of 82 of the field, 6-17 from three, went 16-29 at the free throw line, 43 rebounds, 10 offensive, 26 assists, 12 turnovers. Yeah.
So it's not even like a bad turnover game. It's just like, I mean, if you make most of those free throws, it's a closer game, and then DeMarcus is in it longer. So that's kind of the difference. It was just free throws and like DeMarcus just being dead.
Yeah, it was
dead.
Like you mentioned the free throws. Portland was 15-19, and Kings and Portland attempted pretty much the same amount of shots. Portland just made 42 while Kings made the 33. So
yeah, lots of misses at the rim, and then just Boogie missing everything. But I mean, maybe that's just leveling out. He was like 71% yesterday, and so that's kind of hard to replicate. But yeah, he just didn't have any lift.
I scored like 105 points in his past two games before this.
Yeah. Did he get to 130 over the 3 games? I think that was like some record that like Oscar Robertson holds for the Kings.
I'm gonna check right now.
It's like 130 over 3 games.
So does that include this game or the game before?
This game, so I think he might be short. I think he might be short. Like 15 or so short, right?
Yep.
Well, that's a shame. But I mean, I think we'll see Boogie in that kind of Charlotte form again soon.
Wait, why can't we include the game previous to that? Just go to the 24-point game.
Does that make 130?
No.
Sure. No. Yeah, I think he had to get to like 30 odd.
Oh, he finished his 2 points short.
Okay. Oh well, at least it gives him a target. But I mean, the Kings are still in playoffs, so hopefully, I think, and if they win this Pelicans game coming up, that probably buries Pelicans ever catching them. So this probably, I would say this Blazers game was bigger in terms of if you can win it, it has a really big impact. but I don't think anyone was really expecting it after yesterday, considering the Kings look bad on like a normal back-to-back, let alone a double overtime gut wrencher.
Yeah, so win on Thursday would mean they have a 5-game lead on New Orleans.
Yeah, so I think that would pretty much bury New Orleans if they're not already buried. Because they're just just about going 500. I think the Kings are now 500 for the last 10 games.
Yeah, because there were 6. Yeah.
So they could get back to 6-4 if they win tomorrow. So anyway, you have to finish streaking at some point, and they'll go on a 6-game winning streak in Trumpet. That's my prediction.
So, do you have any concern? Do you think, because Boogie's at 10 technicals right now, do you think he's going to face suspension and reach the 16?
Probably, and maybe he tries to make it just before that Philadelphia game or something. It'd be pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got 6 to go, so he'll be
okay. Oh, won a game. Won a win for this 6-game winning streak.
Yeah, and just I don't know, like this is just an NBA role thing. Like, so it was talked about that because Boogie stared down the referee last night, and I guess they're saying he should have been called for technical. Is that really worthy? I mean, if a dude stares you down, just I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, it just seems like it just whatever someone decides.
Yeah,
but I mean the officials probably knew they were doing a bad job yesterday. So
didn't the NBA come out and said like 6 or 7 calls were missed in the overtimes?
Yeah, in the last overtime, I think it was like 6, including the winning shot.
It's just.
And a pretty big push off on a big foul on Willie that Willie got, where he was pushed as well, which would have probably won the game for the Kings as well. But anyway, there was bad calls for the Hornets. I mean, it was just a bad officiated game. There's some fouls Boogie got that shouldn't really have been fouls.
Yeah. Well, this is
been a somber. I think we should stop doing the live ones because they're just miserable.
It seemed like a good idea, but
it just brings way more to the forefront the irritation of Carl and these rotations. There seems to be like a real lack of logic.
Yeah,
and like the fact that he says it's just he goes with his eyes. Maybe shows that there is no logic behind it.
Yeah, just go home and write your stories.
And it's like even that Atlanta game, he couldn't even say that Ben and Willie had a good game. He like complained about like their rotation on the last possession when there are literally 10 bad rotations or just not even caring by Rondo or Bellinelli, and they play huge minutes. So there's just no consistency. It's like, as soon as someone's been in the league 4 years, you can't change them. Maybe that's his mentality. So that's who they are now. So they're just going to not try that possession. I can't do anything about that. Whereas the younger guys, I can pull them. I mean, yeah.
I think I'm just going to put "you can write whatever you want" on a T-shirt. The wise words of George Carl.
Someone should have said, "Or can you not explain it?" And that just shows that he has no real reason.
Yeah, and that's the other thing and we talked about this with Marco. He gave a reason for James Anderson playing, if they're all those, but on Marco it was just like, and Marco got minutes with no explanation.
I think it's just because he just feels that Marco is the bench shooting guard, so then he puts him in bench lineups. Yeah. Because we never see Ben play with bench lineups ever. He's always with the starters. So that could be one way in which you like get him some more offense or something and get him engaged with the game. Although I think he's being pretty engaged in games. But maybe that's one thing you try and do is like you play Marco spotting up with the starters for like some minutes, and then Ben with the bench unit for a bit longer, being more of a like someone that just people can't stick with. And that was what got the Kings that lead yesterday, was Ben and Gay playing above the rim, and the Hornets couldn't compete with that athleticism. And they just stopped doing it because the most athletic guy wasn't out there anymore. I think they got 5 steals in the first quarter, and they really didn't get any more steals the rest of the game. And a lot of that 17-point lead came from transition, and that's like the Kings' best offense as it's been all year. It's Boogie in the post and transition, and that's pretty much their offense. But should we leave it until next week?
Just real quickly, after this game, does George Karl publicly question anyone's effort?
Did he, or will he?
Oh, no, will he?
Oh, of course. That's what he does.
Yep. Well, yeah. You know,
are we even trying?
Yeah. You know, I think the next one, if we do a live broadcast during the fourth quarter, we'll try and get Ben McLemore on.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it was a blowout, he couldn't get.
Yeah,
it was weird. This game, just watching the first quarter of this game, the Portland Stadium arena is so quiet, and it was sold out. But it was just like deadly quiet.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looked rammed, and it was just so dead, like the atmosphere. But maybe I'm just used to. Well, generally I mute games because I didn't have the Kings broadcast. I put the sound on. But yeah, so or at least for the first half, and so I like to hear different broadcasters just to see if there's any good ones. There's a handful, but yeah, it was just really quiet.
Just rebroadcast last note. I was watching the Cleveland game. I think they're playing. Where they played their last game. Those announcers get excited over everything.
Oh, they're awful. Cleveland Clippers and Boston, those are and the Kings. I can't listen to any of those broadcasts.
It was a layup, and you would have thought it was a game-winning dunk. It was just.
Hornets have got a good broadcast. I like the Hornets and Timberwolves. They're out of it?
Yeah.
How come?
Portland jumped them with 21 wins.
But they've got more losses, so.
This is what the Kings broadcast is saying.
I don't think they are. Because they were a full game back. But because both the Kings, so yeah, maybe they're tied. And because the Kings have, so maybe.
And Kings have lost both games to Portland now.